Welcome back, this is CerealSnax. Today I'm looking at a game called City of Steam, and this is a web browser based game using the Unity web browser engine. And I know if some of you have played web browser based games, you've probably heard of the Unity engine before and probably are cringing, but so far I haven't had a lot of trouble with it, and it actually seems pretty good, actually. So I have a lot of good things to report about City of Steam. It's currently in alpha, and as you can see, I'm making a character here. They have a number of races. They have 7 races. No, I take that back. They now have 9 races. They've actually increased their number of races since the last time I've played, and it looks like they've got, they got the normal. They had this before, the Draug, the Riven before, and the different types of humans. There's like 4 different types of humans, and they all have their own backstory and their own history that they are associated with. It's a very steampunk game. There's a lot of steampunk elements, and of course the graphics are not going to be incredible simply because it is running in a browser, but I was very, very impressed with the graphics as they were, just because it is running in my Chrome browser. The races that they've added are the Goblin, the Hob, and the Orc, which are the kind of the new races for this particular alpha test that we're in. So this is just alpha, and that makes me very impressed with the game actually to start out, because if this is just alpha, the game of course is very well done at this point in time. Of course nowadays, beta is really like the demo time frame of the game, but still the alpha is still what I would consider to be a completely unfinished game, and right now the game feels pretty crisp and pretty clean to me. You can see the 4 classes that they have, and I don't believe they're going to be adding any more classes than this. They have the Channeler, the Gunner, and of course they've got their magic using class, and then the warrior type class. I think I'm going to go with the Gunner class for this particular video, just to show you some of the basics of the game, my first impressions of the game. Of course you can see all the sliders here. You can do a lot of different options for their hair. The hair has no less than 4 different sliders: base, top, back, and side, which I think is kind of funny that they have all these different options for the hair. But the other thing you can do, of course, is change the mustache on your particular character. I felt that it was kind of odd to have a mustache on a goblin. I'm going to change it. You can see here on the left, I'm looking at the 3 different types of gunner. You can actually specialize into a sharpshooter, trigger magic, and then the other one's like more of a healing type one. But you can, and here I'm going to edit the thing here. So I thought it was kind of odd to have a mustache, so I'm going to remove the mustache, and I might give him some like sideburn type things. Yeah, one. Yeah, a little bit of sideburns maybe. That looks kind of cool. So you can see he's got like a rifle, and he's also got 2 pistols on his side, and he's also got a shield. So there's multiple combat options that you have here. I'm going to create and return to the... See, I'm picking trigger magic, going to create and return to the character screen. And there he is. There's a little CerealSnax, my little goblin rifleman guy. So now what I did is I actually edited out the part that's a tutorial. There's a tutorial to this game. And I actually felt, and this is maybe for the developers more than for the viewers, I felt like the tutorial was not as good as it could have been, and therefore it kind of detracted. In fact, the first time I played this game, I played through the tutorial, and maybe it's because I have a short attention span, but I actually exited out of the tutorial and didn't play the game at all that weekend for the alpha test, because I was kind of turned off by that tutorial. It felt very simplistic to me. Now, this time I actually took the patience and got through the tutorial and got to this starting city, and I found it to be very interesting. The tutorial is very linear, and it's in a train, and you almost feel claustrophobic, and it almost made me feel like the entire game was going to be like that, so I just decided to forget it. Of course, this time, I'm glad that I made it through that part, because the open world is very interesting and very exciting. You can see the graphics are, like I said, steampunk. And they have these quests. One thing I will say that's really good about this game is that they've got these quests that are written out, and they're very detailed. It's not like a hackneyed kind of storyline. It's actually a very detailed storyline and very in-depth, especially depending on the type of character you make. So I'm a goblin, and all the quests that I've been given so far have been directly related to goblins and how they interact with the world. The other interesting part of this game is that you've got these houses, and my belief is, and I think this is how it works, is that you have housing. Now, you know, of course, a lot of times you'll have MMOs where people are always clamoring to have their own houses in the game, and you never do. This one seems like it's going to be my house eventually. The first quest is actually to clean up the debris, which I really like these type of quests where you're basically changing your environment in some way, shape, or fashion. And even if it's just a small little house, it's nice. As you can see, there's all this kind of garbage on the floor. And then, of course, this woman is going to give me a quest, which is also kind of the first. It's called Goblin Quest 1, which I'm sure in Alpha they'll probably change some of the names, future names of the quest. But it's neat that they have things specific to the races. So I got the quest from her. It's funny because she kind of just disappears into thin air. And then, of course, there's this quest here in the table where I can get a complimentary belt at my choice. I can do that later. But really, what I wanted to show you was this house. So you got your luggage just kind of sitting there on the floor. So I've cut back out to outside because there's only so much to show in the house. But basically, you can run around this city. There's this entire city, and there's numerous quests. And I'll show you once we get a little further here what it's all about. There's so many quests, it's almost overwhelming at first. And I like that level of detail. This game is actually going to be a free-to-play game. And once it actually comes out, and who knows when that'll be because it's currently an alpha test. But the fact that it's free-to-play is pretty impressive to me. So far, it doesn't seem like you really are required to buy anything. Of course, you know, I've talked before about pay-to-win type games. And I'm hoping that this game is more like a Guild Wars 2 game, which I like to call the pay-to-look-good type game, which basically means that you don't need to buy stuff in the store, but it does make your character look better, but it doesn't necessarily give you an advantage over other people in the game. So I'm showing off the quest journal here. It's very similar to a quest journal for other games. You know, it's got your quest listed and you can track them just like in other games. One of the really nice features of this game is that it puts a little GPS arrow on you. The map is a little bit lacking right now in alpha. Of course, it says disabled in alpha, the specifics, so that's to be expected. So here I'm finishing the quest for my house, and actually I'm leveling up. I'd like to show you kind of how the skill system works. So you can see it's got the steampunk feel to it, but you can upgrade the skills much like you can in many other games, kind of like spending talent points. I currently am skilled in trigger magic, and so each level I can do upgrades to like my exhausting round. You can see there's like a dark blast skill which you get later on, higher level. Cursed shot, which requires level 3. And of course I am level 3, so I'm going to get that. So kind of similar to many other MMOs in terms of getting your skills upgraded. Of course there's other players standing around here. Now, like again, this is running in my Chrome browser, and you can tell the graphics are actually pretty sharp. So that's a testament to the Unity engine. I'm going to clean my house, and then of course you can see that the house will actually change its look. So this is what I was talking about with being able to interact with your environment and make things change as you do them. I like the idea of having a house in an MMO. I've always liked that. I liked that in the Star Wars Galaxies. I liked it in EverQuest 2. And of course I like it in this game. So you can see I've got this nice clean house now. And the next quest, of course, is to start to stock the house up. You see there's a cupboard over there. And the next step is to build that cupboard up with stuff. So again, like you're basically modifying your environment, and I just like, for some reason I like that. I don't know. It's almost like they're kind of integrating a Sims type feel to the MMO. In this particular scene, I am entering the bunker halls, which is actually an instance dungeon. So there's a lot of instance type dungeons, and of course if you invite people to your group, you can share in the dungeon together. And in this particular dungeon, you encounter enemies, and a lot of times you'll have a quest to go in here. You can see my little GPS arrow pointing me exactly where I need to go, which is always nice. You can break these boxes, you know, much like Diablo. It's got that kind of, it's got a very faint Diablo feel to it. So I'm going to show you some of the combat here. Right now I'm doing dual pistols, and if you look at the bottom on my bar, you can actually see that there's multiple things you can do, and it changes your combat styles drastically. So right now I'm using dual pistols, which I found to be very effective in the tutorial, and I've just continued to use them just because I enjoy doing that. But I can actually switch to my rifle, or I could switch to a pistol and a shield, or I could actually sheath all my weapons entirely. So there's multiple options for combat, and it reminds me a little bit of Guild Wars 2 in that respect, in that you can have multiple weapons. You're not chained to one type of weapon and not forced to be using that one type of weapon the entire time. You actually have a set of weapons that you can choose from, and I think that's going to become probably a theme that we're going to see in MMOs from here on out, where you're not, a class that can only use one thing. So I think people like to see that variety. You can see I've got my dual pistols, which disposes of them very quickly. So really, I just wanted to show you this dungeon. They've done a good job. My only criticism of them, of course, is the ceiling part of it. I mean, I guess they want to have it kind of open like that, and I don't know if it's because of alpha, but it would be nice to have kind of a more of a filled-in kind of view. Here I am back in the house, filling in my cupboard with a quest that I had. I bought a bunch of different foods and drinks and filled that up. Now here's another quest. I wanted to show you some of these other quests. You can see I'm editing pretty quickly here in this video. I'm just cutting from scene to scene because I just really want to give you my first impressions about what the game is all about. And this particular dungeon is called a Refuge Challenge Dungeon. And I went in here and actually found that I was very underlevel and very unprepared for this. This guy sicked about 6 or 7 of his dogs on me, and plus he's running after me with a sword as well, and he made short work of me there. So my guess is I have to wait until I'm a higher level. Now here's another mechanic that City of Steam has, and that is that you can revive yourself by either spending 10 of these Electrum points, which is actually the cash store. If you put cash in, you get these Electrums, or you can use a potion if you have them, or you can just wait 30 seconds and resurrect for free. So that's kind of my mode, is I just wait because obviously I don't have any of the other two. So here's the quest board, and I like this too. Watch, I'll click on the quest giver from the quest board, and my character, I'm not actually running. My character is actually auto-running directly to the quest giver. So that's a really neat thing that I've not seen in other MMOs. A quest board that when you click on the name of the quest giver, it actually takes you directly to that quest giver. That's a really neat kind of mechanic that makes it just a lot easier, because then you don't have to go searching for somebody. It just automatically takes you there on auto-run. Now this particular scene, I got a little further in the game, and I just wanted to show you some of the combat. It's a little bit frenetic and a little bit hard to, it's very reminiscent of World of Warcraft and those type of games. There's not any movement needed. You kind of just stand here and click on your attacks. And their loot is usually in the form of these coins. Here I'm breaking some boxes and stuff. But I wanted to show you this graveyard that I'm in because it differs a little bit from the dungeon I was in previously, in that it actually has kind of a ceiling. And again, I don't know if that's because of alpha or not, but this actually looks like there's a sky involved. So I'm actually in a graveyard that has a sky, and I prefer that. There's a huge gear lying in here. But there's, so this combat is it's pretty standard combat, and it wasn't too difficult. Looks like there's an old steampunk tank over there to the left. So they've added a lot of style and a lot of themes to this game that I really like. I like that they've included fantasy characters in a steampunk setting. So I don't think that's been done ever in an MMO. Actually, I'm positive that's never been done in an MMO. Rarely do you have orcs and goblins and the drogs and the other type of fantasy creatures in a steampunk setting. Usually it's just humans wearing Victorian hats and monocles and that sort of thing, right? So they've done a great job on setting the stage for this story, and they've done a great job of really adding a lot of detail to the game. I mean, I'm just touching on the very basics of the game, but there's a lot of things in this game that are it's not a simple game, I'll say that. There's a lot of different things you can achieve. There's a lot of achievements for collecting weapons. There's a lot of achievements for exploring areas. There's a lot of stuff that I've looted that I'm not even sure exactly what it does yet. I looted a painting earlier. I'm not sure if I can put it up in my house, but if I could, that'd be great. I don't know if they've implemented that. So this game has a lot of potential. It's still in alpha, so I would suggest, of course, trying to go on their website. If you're interested in playing this, checking it out. They're giving away a lot of alpha keys right now, a lot of beta keys, probably for the future. So I would definitely, if you're even remotely interested in this after seeing this video, I would definitely try to go sign up, try to get yourself a key, get yourself involved, because not only will you be able to contribute to the betterment of the game, but you may also be able to get some more knowledge on the game and kind of enjoy it for yourself. It's, you know, obviously free to get an alpha key, so it never hurts. So I hope you enjoyed my quick first impressions on City of Steam. I'm going to keep playing it this weekend. You may see some more videos up from me about it, but I wanted to give it to all my subscribers, just show you kind of what it's all about. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and like, and I will catch you again another time.